The world is made up of two kinds of people, the people who know and those who don't. And those who get it and those who don't get it. And those who don't get it are in the vast, vast majority. And there's a handful of people on the earth who are smart enough, educated enough, spiritually evolved enough to have figured out we are in trouble as a human race. The masters of this world are tyrannical, demonic, depraved, sexual perverts, and murderers. And that's who's running the planet, and you can bet on it. So I figure, if you're, like I said, if you're of age and you don't understand the severity of where the earth is and what's going on, then that tells me you're not supposed to, and I don't want to talk about it. I'm just telling you, we are in trouble big time. But, however, having said that, I would go on to suggest that the whole earth is in far bigger trouble. Because not only is the mob, the highest, most powerful, evil syndicate in the world, taken over our beloved country, but now the whole earth is in trouble. We got over 7 billion people who have an IQ of 40, who all they know how to do is reproduce, drink their beer, watch basketball, go on their outings, and continue to play their games while the food supply is being poisoned, the air is being poisoned, your education is poisoned, your whole systems of justice is poisoned, the entire superstructure of Western civilization is crumbling under your feet, and we're watching the end of the Roman Empire, and people are still watching Bugs Bunny. So I know, as a civilization on the earth, the human race is finished. So if you know anything about God, you better be talking to him, because we have had it. The human race is getting ready to mutate. There's a coming new age, coming, an age of Aquarius. There's a war in heaven, like the Bible says in Revelation. A war broke out in heaven. What do you think that's talking about? It's talking about a war in heaven.
Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover." "Where do you want us to prepare for it?" they asked. He replied, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters." The man with the water jar represents the house of Aquarius, because the Bible is based on Astro Theology.
Astro Theology is, of course, the basis for most religions that have ever existed on the earth, especially for Western religions today. Judaism and Christianity, for sure, are based almost solely on Astro Theology. So in order to understand this subject, which is the basis for world religions today, and especially Judaism and Christianity, the subject is called Astro Theology.
Astro Theology is basically any religious system founded upon the observation of the heavens. So many of the gods talked about in all the religions are just symbolic of the sun, moon, and stars. And many stories in the Bible are actually describing the interaction of these planets and stars in the heavens. For example, the 12 disciples of Jesus refer to the zodiac, which is a system of 12 astrological signs and is based on the path of the sun across the sky over the course of a year, and each sign is associated with specific constellations. The whole New Testament is an astrological metaphor, describing the journey of the sun and its relationship to the stars and planets as it moves through the sky. So there was no Jesus. He's just a metaphor for the sun and how it symbolizes spiritual enlightenment. When Jesus feeds a whole crowd with just 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread in the Bible, stories like that are not meant to be taken literally. The 2 fish, for example, are symbolic of Pisces, which is the age in which Jesus was born, and in about 400 years it will be the end of the age of Pisces, and we'll be entering the age of Aquarius. The powers that be around the world are preparing for the age of Aquarius, which is why the insanity in the world has been increasing.
We need to accept that there will be some pain in the process.
I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online.
Individual carbon footprint tracker.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
Are we ready for a new world order?
This is also why they're trying to turn the human race into robots through transhumanism. So, when the Bible mentions things like the last days or the end of days, it is referring to the end of the age of Pisces and the beginning of Aquarius.
Star Wars. What do you think that's all about? The Star Wars is a war between the stars of Pisces and the stars of Aquarius. And they're fighting for power. Pisces has been in power for about 1700 years. It's got another 300 years to go, and it doesn't want to go. And Aquarius is coming in about 350 to 400 years, and it wants to take over. It's like a baby being born. It's coming whether you like it or not. It's way too late. It's 9 months, and that baby's coming. Whether you are ready or not, it don't matter. And so the powers that be in this world know that the age of Aquarius is coming. I don't care what you think of it. It's all that silly astrology. Well, you better go back and do some homework and find out the whole entire world of the masters who own this planet and run this planet for thousands of years have always known stuff in the future. Why? It's because there is something to this idea of a new age. That's a whole subject you could talk about for 8 hours, but I wouldn't bother because most people are not intellectually acumen enough to understand what I'm talking about. I'm just telling you, though, that the entire world of mankind is getting ready to mutate. It's changing. No longer are you going to be living in a world that you were born in. It's over. It's called a new world, period. So what we're looking at now is something that is so frightening, so awesome.
The field of synthetic biology is a new frontier of science. It draws from biochemistry and biomedicine, genetics, robotics, radiation biology, and information technologies. Using nanotechnology, its goals are to improve and transcend the limits of nature. On February 21st, of this year, Time magazine had a feature story on the singularity, the term signifying the merging of man with machine. The story was released on Valentine's Day, February 14th, to underscore a love affair, the marriage of humanity and technology. The article tells us that a transformation is coming, and our species, Homo sapien, will no longer be recognizable as itself. We will be something new, something better. The time predicted for this transformation is 2045. The man who is making this prediction is Ray Kurzweil, a futurist known for his uncanny accuracy in just this area, the pace at which technology grows and improves, such that it will one day be smarter and better than us. That's the singularity. There's a Singularity University hosted by NASA, sponsored by Google, to teach people about the intelligence explosion. Ray Kurzweil has made fortunes over and over as an engineer and inventor. A documentary about him is called The Transcendent Man. He wrote the best-selling book that you see here, The Singularity is Near, which came out in 2005. Singularity is a word from astrophysics, referring to a point in space-time where the rules of ordinary physics no longer apply. Kurzweil has correctly predicted the growth of information technologies. He has made it clear to the world that technological progress is exponential, not linear, which means that advancement begins to advance itself, in a manner of speaking. Exponential curves start slowly and then explode. A quote from the Time magazine article: "In Kurzweil's future, biotechnology and nanotechnology give us the power to manipulate our bodies and the world around us at will, at the molecular level. We ditch Darwin and take charge of our own evolution." The question is, who is we and what is at will? Whose will? Kurzweil predicts that by 2020 we will have successfully reverse engineered the human brain. And when hyper-intelligent artificial intelligence arrives, all we have to do is hand ourselves off to it. Armed with advanced nanotechnology, AI will solve the problems of the world. Strong AI, they use this term, is a super powerful, broad-spectrum intelligence that operates as easily and comfortably as a human being. It isn't just a chess-playing computer. It's a machine intelligence that can pass for human in a blind test, which is as close as you can get to consciousness or sentience. Now, once this kind of intelligence is here, what will it do as a newly created inhabitant of the Earth? Would it compete with us for resources? More intelligent than we are, would it treat us as lesser beings? Would it recognize that we made it, or would it overrun us? Kurzweil is one of the world's leading transhumanists, number 30 on Time's most influential list. Transhumanists believe that we ourselves should merge with machines. Imagine a time when we can download our brains into a computer and upload a computer into our brains.
The three great overlapping revolutions, sometimes goes by the letter G and R. And G stands for genetics. Really, another word for it is biotechnology, is mastering the information processes in our biology. And we ultimately will actually be able to reprogram biology away from disease and from aging. N stands for nanotechnology. In the next 25 years, we will have blood cell-sized devices that go inside your body and keep you healthy from inside. That go in your brain and interact with your biological neurons and allow us to merge with non-biological intelligence. The third one goes by the letter R, which stands for robotics, robots. Really, though, refers to artificial intelligence. And that's the most significant revolution of all. In about 20 years, I've set the date 2029, a machine, an AI, will be able to match human intelligence and go beyond it. So artificial intelligence, which will give us not just more human intelligence, but will actually give us superhuman intelligence, will enable us to solve problems that we're not able to solve today. We're looking forward to a time where we can back up our brains. Our brains will be largely non-biological, so we will be basically machines. We can stop aging. We can live indefinitely. All of our biological bodies are limited, and we need to deal with overcoming their limitations with one means or another. There's nothing good about disease and death as much as we try to ennoble it. People have had no alternative but to rationalize, oh, that tragic thing, it's really a good thing. But death is a profound tragedy. It's a profound loss of relationships and knowledge and skill and meaning.
The robotic blood cells will supposedly improve us and keep us healthy, as he says. But what if that's just the gloss to sell us on such bodily intrusions? Just as we're being sold on the idea of a smart environment, a techno-matrix that will vibrate with not just intelligence but connection. What indeed is the World Wide Web? We may think it's the internet, but it will be the humming network of everything connected through ubiquitous intelligence, intelligence that is everywhere. Artificial intelligence will connect the world. Homo sapien will be transformed into Homo evolutus. Biological processes will be run by technology. Living things will not be reproductive. The earth will be populated with engineered species, and all processes will be patented, licensed, and controlled. You could consider nanotechnology the installation of artificial intelligence in living and non-living things.
When we say something is nano, we mean it is very small. The size of 1 nanometer is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, which is about 100,000 times smaller than the width of a human hair. Making new things at this incredibly small scale is called nanotechnology, and it's one of the most exciting and fast-moving areas of science today.
Smart dust and smart motes, for instance, are tiny nanosensors that can float and land anywhere. As Kurzweil declares, self-replicating nanotechnology will infuse everything around us with itself.
Making the mRNA is really easy and really cheap, and that's the magic of this thing. But there's no doubt in the next 5 years, we can, we just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembly, and some are very self-assembly.
Who was it? Wrote 1984, George Orwell. George Orwell in England was asked, after that book came out, he was asked, what do you really in fact see the world being in the future? I mean, we read your book, we understand basically what you're saying, we can't imagine what it's going to be like. Well, you don't have to imagine, you're in it now. But they asked him back in 1948 when he wrote 1984. That's why they changed the date from 48 to 84. And so they asked him, what do you really think the world is going to be like?
If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
That's exactly what I see. An iron boot on the face of innocence, on the face of a child. The world is finally beginning to awaken. See, I understand how what Mao Tong did in China when he took over. When the communists took over China, he pulled a trick on the Chinese people. He had all of his top communist leaders that were put into power throughout all of China. They were all communists on his side. And what he did is he ordered all of his top communist leaders in all the major cities in China to purposely go out and start bad-mouthing him. All of his top leaders were going out and talking about Mao being a criminal, and he's lazy, and he's stupid, and he's done all kinds of criminal activity. Well, the people of China knew that. Hell, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure that out. And so the people knew that was true, but they were scared to death to say anything, so they just go along to get along, because the dictator will murder you if you say anything. So Mao had his people that he appointed go out and badmouth him and call him names. Well, when the people saw that the leaders of the Communist Party were exposing Mao for what he really is, and everybody knew it, they felt safer, because it seems like the whole country now is awakening up and it's and they want to stand up for what they believe and say, yes, it's true. And so they started joining their leaders and agreeing with them. Well, that's just what Mao Tong wanted. That's what he wanted. He wanted to know who's harboring in their heart, who is actually, in fact, knows who I am and knows that I'm a criminal. I want to know who the smart ones are and who the dimwits are. So if you don't know and you're a dimwit, that's fine. But if you're joining in with my people who are bad-mouthing me, that's what I wanted to know. Now I know who you are, and now I know what you're thinking, and now I have Facebook and my page and all these other social networks. The word social gives us the foundation for socialism. Socialism, if you look it up in the dictionary, is called the common man, or communism. So it's communism, socialism. It's bringing the people together all in one place under one computer to make sure that there's going to come a day when they're going to know exactly who you are. They know exactly what you look like. They've got your address and phone number, and they know exactly who you're meeting with and who your friends are, because your friends have put their pictures on the web with you. And so there will come a day, and it's coming soon, when there will be a roundup. People don't realize freedom is not free. It's over for America, period. And that's my opinion. I know what's going on. I'm telling you, America's finished. We're finished as a human race. And there's no possible way you're going to get anything to change. Not going to happen. So if you know God, you better start talking to Him. And don't go to the churches and the synagogues and the mosques, because those were all founded by the Illuminati. The masters who run this planet gave you your Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and all your other silly ass bull crap television shows, entertainment, your basketball, football, ping pong ball, kicker ball, soccer ball, softball. All of it is a big ball game. Yeah. And that's why on all the television shows and football, especially basketball, they will always show you in America all the movie stars and the president and everybody's out there, and the president throws the first ball at the World Series, and you see the movie stars there at the basketball. Every time it turns around, they'll zoom in on some movie star at the basketball game, or some politician, and Henry Kissinger's there at the football game. And that's the same thing I went through when I was a little kid. When my dad was having adults over, and they brought their children, all the kids came over with their parents. After dinner, my dad would tell all the kids, go out and play ball. And I remember telling him, I'm not interested to play ball. I'm male like you. I want to sit in the front room with the men and hear what they're talking about, because I know what you're doing. I'm not stupid. I may be young, but I'm not stupid. I know you want me to go out and play ball because you want to talk about something that men talk about in private, and I am a man. I want to hear what you're talking about. I want to know what you're really talking about when I'm out playing ball. I'm not stupid. Well, this is the same idea that happened. I remember my uncle, who all the kids loved. He was sensational. He was great with children, with kids. He would say, I want to go out and play with the kids. Now we want to go out because we love him. So we'll go out and play ball with my uncle. And then, of course, some of the other men will come out and they'll play also. So now the kids are happy because we got the adults on our side now. They're playing ball with us. And then one by one, the adults, of course, they're tired. They want to go in, and one by one they go back in. And ultimately, we're out there now. We're playing, and so they're good. They let us into playing ball. Why? Because they went out to play ball with us. And then a couple of minutes later, they're back in, and we're now involved in the ball game. Very, very clever. But I'm not stupid. I figured it out even as a kid. Where did all the men go? They were out with us 5 minutes ago to play with them. They all went back in. Well, by that time, all the kids are into playing ball, and they don't care anymore. Well, I care. I noticed. And so it began to appear to be that at the basketball game, you see the president out, he's throwing the ball, or Henry Kissinger's there with one of his mafiosi friends, and they're watching the game. So we think, boy, all the big politicians, they're like us. They want to go to the ball game. No, they're just leading you into your stupidity, because propaganda does not deceive you. It helps you to deceive yourself. You need to wake up and find out who owns this country and what's going on with this country and where it's going. And when you do, you're going to find out you're in serious trouble. I hope I haven't offended anybody. So that's where we are today on the earth. The whole human race has got an IQ of 40. We're out there watching our silly games, and in Europe, they have no idea in the world what's going on. Africans have no idea in the world. They think all that terrible stuff of slavery back in the 15, 16, 1700s, slavery. Are you kidding? The whole world is a slave today. The whole planet. You're going to see the whole earth changing, mutating. Where every country you go, they're going to be militarized with tasers and guns and machine guns, and they're called the police. They're called the authorities. And if you don't have your ID and you're in good standing, you're in trouble.
I don't understand why you're doing this, why you're pushing me.
Because I don't like people testing me. I don't like people not my
Nazis
orders.
Either. Okay. Are you done? Can I show you my ID?
And there's no place to run. It's everywhere. They live. The idea, Hollywood's been telling you for years. They make movies about this. How many movies back in the 40s and 50s they would tell you in sci-fi movies, they live, and body snatchers. It was all about the takeover of the human race.
The nature of biology is to adapt. As more unnatural elements enter our bodies, if we cannot reject them, we will find ways to accommodate them. You could call it Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets Sleeping with the Enemy. In fact, the original Body Snatchers movie contains some interesting lines. Your new bodies are taking you over, cell for cell, atom for atom, and you'll be born into an untroubled world. Don't fight it, Miles, it's no use. Their bodies were now hosts harboring an alien form of life, a cosmic form.
I've been afraid a lot of times in my life, but I didn't know the real meaning of fear until I had kissed Becky. A moment's sleep and the girl I loved was an inhuman enemy bent on my destruction. That moment's sleep was death to Becky's soul, just as it had been for Jack and Teddy and Dan Kaufman and all the rest. Their bodies were now hosts harboring an alien form of life, a cosmic form, which to survive must take over every human man. So I ran as little Jimmy Grimaldi run the other day.
Hollywood's been giving us these movies for years. And so they've been telling you something. I tell you, that's what Hollywood does. The masters of this world own Hollywood. And what Hollywood is all about is they tell you what your masters have done in the past, what they're doing now, and what they're getting ready to do. That's what Hollywood's all about. You've got to wake up and find out we are in serious trouble. So the smart thing to do, like most of the people who will know, is keep your mouth shut while the rest of the people are drinking their beer and partying and have no idea in the world what's coming. It's on its way, and it's here. They're all members of secret orders and secret societies and sexual rituals and child sacrifice, and incredible. Yeah. I mean, I could go in for hours and tell you about this stuff. People say, well, Jordan sounds like he's got a bad attitude. Bad attitude? No, let's just assume I'm smarter than you are. Let's just assume that I've been around for a long time in places you don't even know exist. I've been in the company of people who are running this planet, and I know what's going on. So I don't have a bad attitude. I'm telling you the truth. And that's one thing the world cannot handle, is being told the real truth. Well, the real truth is you're in trouble. Yeah, so I'm just saying, you better wake up and find out and smell the roses. Where this world is now, you have no idea in the world how far gone it really is. You know, I can tell you more stuff that would put my life in danger right now that I know. So that's why, you know, I'm very unhappy with the world I live in. Just my opinion, but my opinion is very simple. I don't think there's hope in hell for the human race, period. Because even if the human race were to wake up, what are you going to do about it? If you go in prison and you find out that who the gang leaders are, or in Chicago you find out something you're not supposed to know about Capone and the mob, all right, suppose you know. Now you know what they're doing, and now you know that they run the city government, they run the mayor, and all of that, and they kill people, and they're raping, and they're selling children, and all that. So now that you know that, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to go to the government? They are the government, airhead. They are the mayor, the police chief. They're all on the take. So what are you going to do about it? Well, the smart thing is to shut your mouth and get out of town, because they know that you know. And they run the town, period. They are the police department. They are the mayor. Yeah, you better go back and do some homework and find out we are in trouble big time, and there's no way out, period. I've done something I said I didn't want to do. I'm talking about government. But I'm old enough now, I feel I'm going not to be here not much longer, so I might as well tell you the truth. The real truth is your country's gone and you're finished. Thank God I'm 74 and I'm leaving here. But pray to God. If you know anything about God, you better pray to Him, because we are in serious trouble on the earth, period. America's just getting there first, because we've always gotten there first. So what is happening to America is coming for the whole world. The reviving of the Prince of Darkness, the last days, the end times. It's here. Wake up. And you are going to be in the middle of it, and your children and your children's children, your grandchildren are going to live in a world that you can't even begin to imagine. You have no idea of the world what's coming for your children and your grandchildren. So just go on back and watch your basketball and drink your beer, and one day what goes around comes around. You're going to find out what freedom was all about. You never know what you've lost till it's gone. Well, now let me tell you something, America, it's gone. It's over. There is no longer freedom, liberty, or justice in the world. Like the judges will tell you, there is no justice, there's just us. So today, we are in trouble. Government's out of control, the laws are corrupt, money's corrupt, your banks own you and they're corrupt. As an older man, I'm angry at the world that I now see. I have grown up in watching it, and I could do nothing about it. I could do nothing about what I saw happening to my country, to my people. I could not do anything about it as a kid, 10 years old. I just, in my gut, knew I don't want anything. I don't know why I don't want anything. I don't want to be a part of the world I live in. I just don't fit. I want to know what's really going on here and who I really am and where I've actually come from and where are we going as a human race. Because even as a kid, I knew something's up here. The whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. Like the Bible says, the entire world is lying in the power of the wicked one. Well, that's the damn truth. The entire human race is now owned, controlled, and manipulated and exploited by the most evil, dark forces the world has ever known. It's written in Scripture. These are the last days. The last days of what? The last days of Pisces. And God help you, because the coming of the age of Aquarius is going to be a horrible experience. You have no idea in the world what's coming in Aquarius 400 years from today. But it's starting now. You're just now beginning to see the beginnings of the coming of the age of Aquarius. Concentration camps, lies, deception, pornography, drug addiction. You have no idea in the world what the Illuminati masters who own this planet, what they've got planned for the human race. And there's nothing we're going to do about it, because we don't even begin to understand what we're talking about. But one day, going to come around, and when it does, your grandchildren are going to live in a world that you cannot even begin to perceive how bad it's going to be. There will be no more caring about your loved ones and your mother and your father and taking care of the old people. No, older people will be taken care of instantly. They'll be given a pill and they're gone. Your children will be in the military. There will be no more humanity, period. It's called transhumanism.
In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. Then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
You can provide them with bread and circuses, and you can provide them with endless amounts of distractions and propaganda.
But this doesn't sound like a very appealing future.
When we talked about the first industrial revolution, we had, of course, the steam engine, we had electricity, but now we have a multitude of technologies, all working together to a certain extent in combination. Just think of the power of the combination of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and big data. So it's a combination of the different technologies which really bring the fundamental change. And finally, I think we have to be prepared for a world where we see a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological dimensions. So it will be a world integrating the physical, biological, and the digital dimensions. So it will be a new world. And I'm looking for a minister in 10 years. Probably it will be completely different from what it is now.
We're going to become increasingly non-biological to the point where the non-biological part predominates and the biological part is not that important anymore. In fact, the non-biological part, the machine part, will be so powerful it can completely model and understand the biological part. So even if that biological part went away, it wouldn't make any difference because the non-biological part already understood it completely. Another step then is in the 2030s, when we can actually connect our neocortex, which is where we do our thinking, to computers. So I believe that will happen in the 2030s. We will actually, so just the way this is greatly amplified by being connected to the cloud, we can connect our own brain to the cloud.
It's about connecting the human brain to artificial intelligence, and then from a central point, which you can do, to dictate the perceptions of the population. And so once that happens, a perception that says, this is not right, I'm not doing this, will not manifest, because it's not what will come through AI. This is where we're going.
The focus of my talk today will be on the ultimate transhumanist goal, what has been termed by Ray Kurzweil, one of the leaders of the movement, as the singularity.
It's the singularity.
Titled "The Singularity is Near When Humans Transcend Biology," he writes, "There will be no distinction post-singularity between human and machine or between physical and virtual reality. It's very important to understand that transhumanism is simply the transitional stage between humanism and post-humanism. Make no mistake, the final goal is to eradicate humanity as we know it. Once you understand the final destination, it becomes much easier to look back and identify the psychological conditioning, the biological tampering, the cultural grooming."
Another blaring example, drag queen story time. It's happening in Canada and America, where some public schools and libraries invite drag queens, some dressed like horned demons, to read to young children.
And it's a social deconstructionist agenda. They're using children, little 5-year-olds, to accomplish this.
In preparation to making us accept a post-human future. It takes a lot of physical and psychological abuse to get an intelligent species like ours to agree to its own extinction. Most, if not all, that has transcended in the last 60 years was designed to get us closer to accepting such a dystopian reality. Whether you care to accept it or not, we live in a hyper-controlled matrix where our perception of reality is meticulously planned, managed, and executed in order to control and steer us in whichever direction they wish. And the direction is a post-human world. Transhumanism stands on the premise that there is no God, that there is no spiritual realm, and that we possess no soul. Does anybody feel like a soulless being in this room? It is the most materialistic and Darwinian understanding of who we are. We have been prepped and groomed to accept the notion that without technological enhancements, we will not survive the future, but instead become obsolete. Yuval Noah Harari is doing a marvelous job at convincing everyone that we will become what he calls the useless class in the face of a world driven by AI, that we are simple, hackable animals restricted by our own biology. But the truth, however, is very, very different. They don't want to alter us because we are flawed, weak, and limited. They want to alter us because we are none of those things. And it's increasingly difficult to control the billions of resourceful, resilient, and creative humans that we are. There is a reason why it's called artificial intelligence. And that's because it is artificial. It's not real intelligence. Real intelligence necessitates of consciousness, something that machines will never possess. And in any case, who said we wanted to merge with machines? Why should we allow some megalomaniac nerds and their big tech billionaire friends dictate our future?
It's quite a strange experience, to be honest, as I scan the news week after week, and I see my books being delivered from decades past on the news, where what I said would happen is happening, one after the other.
The creation of a one world government to which nation states would be principalities, administrative units, a world central bank which would administer all financial transactions on the planet, a world currency which wouldn't be coins and notes, it would be merely electronic, cashless society for which there are fundamental implications for freedom, as we'll see as we go along tonight. A world army under centralized control with nation-state armies dismantled under the justification of seeking peace, and a microchipped population linked to a global computer, the latter of which sounds bizarre to many people on first hearing, except that we are ridiculously close to it and the technology already exists. So World Health Organization says there's going to be a measles epidemic next year. Get vaccinated. Get your children vaccinated. You're a bad parent if you don't. Then the same people that organize that then start blocking out the vaccine and make a fortune out of it. So if we take one element of that under problem, reaction, solution, it's amazing the extent to which we have given our power away, our spiritual power. It's all about taking our power back.
Universal basic income, tick. Connecting the human brain to AI, tick, and so on it goes. And why is that? Because there's a plan. And if you uncover the plan, you can predict the future as long as the plan does not have any intervention to stop it happening. And so there's a plan, and you have to sell it. You have to sell it not too bloody obviously, or too many people will cotton on to what's actually happening. You do it in increments, what I call the totalitarian tiptoe. You go from A to B to C. You go in as big a leap as you can without alerting too many people of the direction you're taking them. And then in the end, when you get more and more control, those leaps can get bigger and bigger. And so this is one of the stepping stones.
Introducing Apple Vision Pro. Vision Pro is a new kind of computer that augments reality by seamlessly blending the real world with the digital world. It's the first Apple product you look through and not at. Vision Pro feels familiar, yet it's entirely new. You can see, hear, and interact with digital content just like it's in your physical space. And you control Vision Pro using the most natural and intuitive tools, your eyes, hands, and voice. With Vision Pro, you're no longer limited by a display. Your surroundings become an infinite canvas. Use your apps anywhere and make them any size you want. Capture photos and videos and relive your most important memories in an entirely new way.
Whoa, how amazing that is, eh? So what's the real reason for all this? It's a totalitarian tiptoe to the absorption of human consciousness into artificial intelligence. And then the question comes, what is artificial intelligence? What if, in its most advanced, extreme state, it is a non-human alien mind? And that by connecting the brain to artificial intelligence, you are creating a hive human mind controlled by an alien force. That is what this is really all about.
Is the end of human history. Not the end of history, the end of human-dominated history. History will continue with somebody else in control. If it was a question of, humankind versus a common threat of these new intelligent alien agents here on Earth, then yes, I think that there are ways we can contain them. But if the humans are divided among themselves and are in an arms race, then it becomes almost impossible to contain this alien intelligence. And there is, I'm tending to think of it more in terms of really an alien invasion. That like somebody coming and telling us that, there is a fleet, an alien fleet of spaceships coming from planet Zircon or whatever, with highly intelligent beings. They'll be here in 5 years and take over the planet. Maybe they'll be nice. Maybe they'll solve cancer and climate change, but we are not sure. This is what we are facing, except that the aliens are not coming in spaceships from planet Zircon. They're coming from the laboratory.
And you've got this sales pitch again, that it's going to make humans superhuman, like the gods, when the plan is to make them subhuman and just a computer terminal on an alien internet. And the idea, and indeed the playing out of that idea, is happening all around us. We have to be connected to artificial intelligence. Well, how can that happen? Well, you can put a brain implant in, yes, but what form does that ultimately take? What if they manipulated vast numbers of the population to accept which then self-replicated through nanotechnology?
We just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembling. There's no inherent reason it's not thermostable, it's not cheap, and it's not scalable. And so, as over the 5 years, we fix that part of it, mature it, which is very typical, we'll be able to build factories worldwide.
And other technology, so that it could interact with the cloud, this 5G, coming 6G, 7G electromagnetic radiation cloud, which is being bombarded on the people by towers everywhere, but really, ultimately, increasingly from low orbit satellites put up there by people like Elon Musk at SpaceX, to create a situation where the entire planet is covered with, quote, the cloud. And humans would be connected to that cloud, and they would have their thinking and their emotional reactions dictated by the cloud. And all this stuff with the metaverse and this totalitarian tiptoe of more augmented realities that pulling you in to total absorption is all part of this plan. Now, there's a guy called Ray Kurzweil at Google. He's a Google executive. And he has been openly saying this is the plan for a long time. Let me quote him directly. "Our thinking," says Kurzweil, "will be a hybrid of biological and non-biological thinking. Humans will be able to extend their limitations and, quote, think in the cloud. No, the cloud will think for them. We're going to put gateways to the cloud in our brains." Hello, thank you. "We're going to gradually merge and enhance ourselves. In my view, that's the nature of being human. We transcend our limitations. As the technology," says Kurzweil, "becomes vastly superior to what we are, then the small proportion that is still human gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it's utterly negligible. And he's talking about this happening by 2030, which is a year that keeps coming up again and again in the time scale of the global cult agenda. So that is what it's all about in terms of connecting humans to AI.
You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
That's over.
Over. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, I mean, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it.
It won't help us go.
It will help us, of course. It will make things, you know, more manageable. Surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century.
We are at the beginning. When you look at it, at technology transformation, it usually takes place in the terms of an S-curve. And we are just now where we move into the exponential phase. And I agree. Artificial intelligence, but not only artificial intelligence, but also the metaverse, near space technologies, and I could go on and on, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, very much affected, and who masters those technologies in some way will be the master of the world.